I think a lot of times inconsistency is at the forefront because we overthink everything. And how is it going
Yeah.
to sound? What are they going to say? What are they going to think? Did I do it right? Did I put the caption? Is my edges laid? Like, there's just
Right.
so many thoughts versus to just post it, because a lot of times somebody's breakthrough is sitting in your drafts folder. And because
Mm.
you are overthinking it, because you are waiting and waiting on this perfect moment, someone's delayed to that breakthrough. So I think having that mindset of service and my content is not for me has really helped me shift in my consistency. In addition to, you have to have a plan and a realistic plan.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Somebody's breakthrough is sitting in your drafts folder. Wow, did you hear that? And that is just the tip of the iceberg for today's episode. The gems get even colder. So, welcome back. I wanted to put that out there because I'm so excited to be joined by today's guest, who is content strategist and coach, Jourdan Guyton. And we're going to be discussing the key to creating consistent and profitable content. And the thing I love about what Jourdan is doing in the industry is that she's showing people how to show up as their authentic selves online. Not only that, but she's also leading by example because she truly shows up authentically. And I just love that. So during our conversation today, we're diving into just how important social media is for your business and how you don't have to be overwhelmed when creating content. Jourdan is going to share some of the ways that you can create an actual strategy and content plan that works for your life, even if you are super busy. And I'll give you a hint, you don't have to start from scratch. We're going to get into some other things like what role your mindset plays in how you show up online, what you can do if you have a page that's kind of dormant, a page that's dead, a page that's done, and it's just sitting there taking up space in the internet land. You're going to find out just how you can bring it back to life. There is so much more we're going to be covering, but I can't give it all away, so let's get into it. Jourdan, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I am really excited to have you on the show, so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be so much fun.
Yes. So before we get into today's conversation about creating consistent content and profitable content, if you could just share a little bit about who you are, what is it that you do in your business, and how did you get where you are today?
Yeah, that is a loaded question, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
My name is Jourdan Guyton. I'm a business owner of Vera Media. It is named after my grandma, and we teach entrepreneurs how to create profitable content on social and show up unapologetically in their business. So I started my business back in 2020 in the height of the pandemic. I was collecting unemployment like a lot of us were during that time. I come from a 10-year background in entertainment. And so when COVID hit, production shut down. So there was no more casting for me, being in front of the camera, being behind the camera. None of that was a thing. So I really started this off of the strength of just sitting still and being someone. I don't know about you, Monique, but I'm someone who's been working since I was 14 years old. So that hustle, that grind, that like I have to be working has always been in me. And I started this business and during the pandemic in Harlem at the time, restaurants were the only thing that was open. So I was sending out graphics from Canva to restaurants, just hoping someone would hire me or I could get some business and some income at the time. And no one hired me. Surprise, because I'm sure the margins were tight. But I did end up hiring a business coach, and she really helped me start to ideate what I truly wanted to do. My first job out of college was working at the Maury Show.
Wow.
So all that baby mama drama, production, like putting
Mm-hmm.
out fires, all of that was very second nature to me. And so she really helped me think about how I could help others from the content lens. And that's what led to me creating content to then eventually doing strategy for them. And so now I run a multi six figure business, helping female entrepreneurs really just show up and show out so that they can make more money in their business.
Wow, such an amazing story. I love that.
Thank
And I
you.
love that, the persistence and the tenacity is something that is totally admirable. Um,
Yeah.
and Jourdan, so when you were, going through this phase of your life, like, where did you see the success begin?
Um, I think I saw, so when I started my page, I had about 6,000 followers, and that came from just being in TV. And I lost a bunch of weight at one time, so I grew a bunch. It was just random followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I started to take my business seriously, and getting really clear on who I was speaking to, that really started to position me as an expert on social, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
started to lean into what I knew I was talking about. I also found confidence in getting students results. So then I was like, okay, this is working. All right, people like this, people need this, right? I had to try it and test it. And I just really started to stay consistent. And it was 6K to 7K to 10K to 20K to 30K to 50K.
Wow.
So it was that organic growth that just happened from me being myself. And it wasn't just the followers, right? It was, I remember launching my program for the very first time and one student joined. And I was
Mm,
hysterical. I was devastated. I was like, what is this, Lord? Like, I'm not doing this anymore. But I stayed the
mhm.
course and I launched again and again. And I was sold out after sold out after sold out. So I do think once I leaned into my authenticity, in addition to being consistent in my own essence, that's when I really just started to attract who I was called to serve.
Amazing. And I'm so glad you shared that because this is exactly what we're talking about today and how to show others how to do exactly what you've been able to do. So, first, talking about the importance of creating content in one's business,
Yeah.
why do you think that that matters and it's important? Because every business owner is not thinking about creating content.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of the minds of old school marketing versus new school marketing. I
Hmm.
think that as businesses evolve and as the market begins to elevate and get smarter, I just think that you have to shift with those trends. And I'm not saying that you have to Megan the Stallion drop it low on all your reels, but I'm saying that you have to create content for your business because a lot of consumers are on social and are using social media to make informed buying decisions. So a lot of times we do our due diligence through looking at someone's Instagram page or going to their TikTok or going to, it's just what the times are. And word of mouth 100% does work, but there is a shelf life on it. There's only so much word that can be spread around, and why not? Why not you be the one to tap into reaching a global audience, like a limitless audience for free? It's a free platform. So I think when I hear that question of like why content, my answer is always why not.
Hmm.
It's an outlet. You can be creative, and you can literally touch hundreds, thousands, millions of people.
Certainly. And so, how do you decide where you should produce content and like which platforms people should be showing up on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I think nowadays, with the 6.9 gajillion social media platforms,
Hmm.
you feel so tempted to do all the things. Like you
Yes.
literally want to do it all, and it's exhausting. So I always say to just first of all find out where your people are. Where do they hang out? Where have you ever, if you booked clients from social, what platform has that been? Where is your ideal client spending time? And I think you should really double down on just, this is my personal advice, but double down
Hmm.
on one platform, get that going, get that rhythm, get that cadence, get that comfortability, double down on that, And once you start to grow that, then I think you can step into the next one and the next one. Do I think you need to be on all of them? I don't. I don't. But I do think it's really important to zero in and focus on one, maybe two if you're feeling froggy, to build your business.
Yes. And do you believe in like, so when you say one platform, the idea of like pairing, because would you consider, say, YouTube as a social media or YouTube and Instagram, or just like focus on Instagram rather than YouTube, or how would you say that?
Yeah, I definitely think YouTube is a social media platform.
Hmm.
It's also a search engine. But again, both of them take so much work. Like it's a whole beast to do YouTube,
Right.
and it's a whole beast to do Instagram. And so if you're on shaky ground with one of them and you don't have your feet all the way in and you have your bearings on that platform, you're literally going to be giving a percentage to each platform in hopes that you get a return on your investment of time, energy, and money.
Good advice. Good
Yeah.
observation. And so one of the things you mentioned before is that your growth really came from being consistent and honing in
Mm.
on who you were speaking to. I want to really dive more into the importance of creating consistent content. So how would you advise someone to stay consistent in creating this plan to be consistent?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to start mindset wise, right? Like you have to know that consistency is a journey.
Hmm.
So your audience might evolve over time. And so you have to consistently be shifting and changing and feeling and thinking and just keeping your ear and heart and pulse on what really lights you up. And it's okay that that shifts. In addition to when it comes to consistency, like get out of your own head. I think a lot of times inconsistency is the at the forefront because we overthink everything. And what is it going how is it going to
Yeah.
sound? What are they going to say? What are they going to think? Did I do it right? Did I put the caption? Is my edges laid? Like there's just
Right.
so many thoughts versus to just post it, because a lot of times somebody's breakthrough is sitting in your drafts folder. And because
Mm,
you are overthinking it, because you are waiting and waiting on this perfect moment, someone's delayed to that breakthrough. So I think having that mindset of service and my content is not for me has really helped me shift in my consistency. In addition to, you have to have a plan and a realistic plan. I think a lot of times people's consistency cadence comes from others, right? So we see other people on social media
right.
saying to post 5 reels a day and then show up every single day. And then you have to do this and you have to do that. And I think that again is overwhelming. So it's really important to be realistic about your frequency and about your cadence running a business. Some of us are parents, some of us have spouses, some of us are running multiple businesses, and being realistic on what that cadence is for you and getting consistent with that because your audience will fall in line.
Yes. And I love that someone's breakthrough is sitting in your draft folder. Oh, that's so good
Yeah,
there. That
yeah.
is a push. And Jordan, I know another thing that you talk about a lot is creating video content. So I
Mm,
wanted you to talk about the power of video content because it is something that isn't going anywhere when it comes to like
mm-mm.
video. And
Right.
just touch on like Instagram Reels, Lives, and TikToks and things. What's the power of video content and why people should be creating video content?
Yeah, video content is everything. It's like everyone
Yes.
is, oh my gosh. It can be so intimidating, like coming from a world
Hmm.
of like cameras and like being on camera and being behind the camera and front, all the things. Like going live probably was one of the most petrifying things I could ever push myself to do.
Hmm.
But it truly is your virtual handshake with your audience. Live video, the power of live content, there's nothing like it. I feel like it's so beautiful because you really get your audience or your potential customers in real time. So you can combat those objections, you can answer questions, they can feel your energy. I don't know about you, Monique, but I'm definitely an energy person. So
Hmm.
if I feel
Yep.
something, if something's a little off or like don't feel right, or feels good, and like this, I'm called to this person. I love the way she shows up or he shows up or whatever the case is. they're more inclined to buy and spend money on your business and your mission and your values. So I love live video. And then when it comes to reels and TikTok and short form video, that's just like the icing on the cake. That brings your audience in, right? So it gets the reach, it gets new audiences, it gets new eyes. You can be funny, you can be really informational. Like you can showcase behind the scenes. You don't always have to be in front of the camera. And that draws in a new audience to then where you can solidify them with your live content or your other content to connect to then convert. So video content, you're absolutely right. It's not going anywhere. And I also think because it is such an uncomfortable space for us to be in sometimes as people who are not born to just be on camera or put ourselves out there like that there's so many people underutilizing it that you will stand out ahead of your competition. So to really just feel that uncomfortability for a little bit for that long-term gratification of like, know, and trust with your audience.
Yes. And so what advice would you give to someone who's like, I know I need to get on video content, like starting small pace, or how would they start to like test that?
I think the first piece of advice would be it gets better. We think that, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. My armpits are sweating. Like, this is too much.
Right.
Never doing this again. Like, I remember one of my students, she posted in our group, she said, I went live for the first time and I didn't die. And I was like, that's what it feels like. You literally feel like your eyeballs are sweating. Everyone's watching you. You're gonna throw, like, it's an out of body experience. So, I mean, I would tell someone who's just beginning to just start and invite someone you like, know, love, trust to be in the room with you. I remember I used to have my boyfriend at the time, he's now my husband. I would invite him over to my apartment and I'd say, hey, can you just go in the bedroom and just hop on my live? So I'm not the only person on here. And he'd be the one person watching. And I'd be like, don't comment, because they're going to know, like, they're going to know my man's in here. Like, it was a whole thing. But you have to do it. You have to rip off the Band-Aid. You have to put in your reps. And it does get better. Do I still get nervous? Absolutely. And I'm 2 years into it. But do I close just about every single time on a live video? 100%. So yeah, I say do it.
Yeah. And I agree, because that was my biggest fear, is like getting on live video. And so what I did was I said, I'm going to do it every week for a month. And
I love that.
Every time it did get, the first time I was nervous, but then after that, I'm like, I felt like your client, like I didn't die. And I just recently had a friend, Darcy, she started to get on live and she said the same thing. She said, I'm going to try that too. And she's loving it now.
But yeah,
I think like, committing. So yeah, I agree. I didn't die.
Agree.
So Jourdan, one of the things I love about your content is that you kind of like plan and, you know, like have this plan and a journey for those who are on your lives or on your videos. And I want to talk about the content creation process and the power of having a strategy. So what role do you think that strategy plays in the content creation process? And can you provide some tips on how to develop a content strategy?
Yeah, so I definitely think content strategy is crucial. I think that when you don't have a content strategy, it leaves room for your audience to have confusion or doubt or not to know what you do or how to even buy with you. So it kind of, your page kind of just starts to feel like free content, just a place to kind of take what I need, leave what I don't, not as a business, right? And so I think with content strategy, there's a lot of moving pieces to it. But I think some simple ways to just get started in developing just a simple strategy for yourself is to take some time and reflect on your past content, right? Dive into maybe your content for the last 30 to 60 days and see what really resonated with your audience. Where did they show up for you? What turned into sales? What was engagement? You know, where did your audience show up the most? And start to double down on that type of content. I would also say don't be afraid to reuse or what's the word I'm looking, repurpose a piece of content that did well. I think a lot of times when we're coming up with our content for the next month or the next quarter, we think we have to reinvent the wheel, right? But what does it look like to take a post from 2019 or 2021 or 2020 that was like fire and put a 2022 spin on it, right? Turn it into a reel or do a live video about it or turn it into a carousel post or do a deep dive in your stories. I think that we get so hung up on the new, that we don't sit in what's already worked. So I would definitely dive into your insights and dive into those posts that had your audience wanting more.
And what about those people who have a page that's like dead? They haven't done anything with it.
Yeah. So that's like the dormant, like I haven't been there for a while, like, ooh, I'm back, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I mean, it happens, first of all, so give yourself grace, and kudos for you for stepping back into it. But I think that your audience needs to trust you again. So I think before diving in and making that first post, I would make sure that I have at least 12 pieces of content planned out, so that you don't post and ghost again, right? So that you don't show up with this stellar piece of content. I'm back. Let me reintroduce myself. I run a business and I do this. Come see me, and then we don't see you for a month, right? So have those 12 posts in place, but then also know that social media is a two-way street, right? So show some love to your already there followers, those existing followers. Dive in there, the people that are already following you, and go show love on their content and on their page. Or if you want to send them a message and let them know that you're back, because you remember they would always watch your stories or they would always comment, hey, Jessica, wanted to let you know I'm back. I'm stronger. Thank you for supporting me. Let me know if there's any additional content that you want to see, right? So that they're 10 toes down for you with all the content that you have in the pipeline.
Love it. And Jourdan, you kind of alluded to this earlier in your journey, how you were authentic and the importance of being authentic. So I want to dive into that more.
Sure.
But first, I want to ask, how do you decide how you're going to show up online? Whether it's, serious, funny, am I going to be sharing my life in my content?
Yeah.
Like, how do you decide?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to feel good. Whenever it feels not good and not so much uncomfortable, I think there's a thin line of like uncomfortability and like this isn't right or this isn't me. You feel that. That's that gut check. That's the Holy Spirit for me. Like you feel when something is off. And I think that you also have to just, again, leave room for that evolution of you through the process. I always say your page, your privacy. So you can give as much as you want. You can leave out as much as you want. But know that your testimony and that transparency goes a long way. And I always like seeing those from rags to riches stories. I like the rags part, but I love the breakthrough even more, right? So make sure that when we are telling those like deep, painful, vulnerable, when we're in those moments, let's lead our audience through breakthrough and let them know that you're not going to leave them where you found them. I'm all for like a transformation story, but I think it's really important to position trauma or pain or suffering into what could be possible.
Yes. And so in your experience, why do you think that business owners and entrepreneurs like struggle with showing up like authentically online?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so much noise. There's so much noise on social. There's so much this is how to be. There's so much comparison. There's so much doubt. There's so much fear. What I always say is that, a lot of times we view authenticity as self, right? Like I need to learn how to be authentic. But what I've found, and one of the reasons why I created my group coaching program, is that you find your authenticity when you feel surrounded by people who will catch that, who will catch your feelings, who will catch your essence, who will catch your uniqueness and you feel safe, right? And so when you're pushing someone out to show up authentic on social in a space where maybe their audience isn't quite curated or isn't quite ready for the real them, it leaves a lot of space for judgment, a lot of space for, oh, your little business, right? Like it's that type of energy when you're not surrounded with a community who gets it, right? Who wants to build with you or sees the legacy or sees the 10K months or sees you closing clients in the DMs. Like when people can support that, I think it makes it so much easier to just be you and just let go.
That's so good. And can you touch on like what this fear of being and showing up does in hindering the growth of business?
Oh my gosh. When you are not yourself, when you are not who you've been called to be, you attract the wrong people. You attract the wrong audience. You attract people who were never going to buy from you. You attract headache clients. Like it's a whole like cause and effect situation because you're showing up as somebody else. You're attracting that destiny. You're attracting those clients. You're attracting that energy. And so it sucks because then you start to grow and you start to grow with the wrong people instead of growing and being called to impact the people you're supposed to. So that's not fun. It's not people being in your DMs like, girl, what you do? And you're like,
right.
Oh gosh, this isn't good.
The wrong people following.
Right. Hey, yo, Ma, let me take you out to dinner. You know,
right. This is not that kind of page, okay?
No, ma'am.
And so, Jourdan, that makes me think about, I'm in a group, and one of the questions I seen recently was that people were struggling with deciding if they should brand their personal brand or their business. And our audience consists of mostly those who are providing those professional services. So how do you decide like which to push?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it's a case by case for sure. Because you have to look at your end game, right? Like, how do you want to build your business 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Do you want to be the face of your business? Do you want to be in your business, or do you want to eventually be removed from your business and maybe other people handling the things that you're currently doing? And so I think that path really is how you're going to figure out the way that you show up or how your content is illuminated on social media. So when I think about like coaches, or when I think about service providers who are the face of their business and are the ones who are interacting face to face or virtually with their clients, I would imagine that you would want to be at the forefront of your content so that your audience knows exactly what they're getting into. But if, like I said, you plan on exiting your company or selling it or removing yourself, I think you have to try to think about how to make your clients, your clientele, your students, your customers, the focal point, the selling point of your business.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about the money, because I know
money.
People want to know how can they make some money? So I wanted to talk about some of the ways that they can start to monetize the content. And I know one of the things you talk about is keeping it simple when you're selling. So what advice would you have on how to start to monetize content?
I think my first piece of advice would be to get clear. Get clear on what your offer is. So are you going to be an influencer, or are you running a business, right? Like, and being an influencer is running a business, but are you working with brands, or are you bringing in clients through your one-on-one coaching, or do you have services that you offer? I think you have to really get clear on what that offer is first. Do you have an ebook? Do you have a digital download, right? There's so many ways to monetize your platform. But I think when we're overwhelmed as an audience with all the solutions or all the things that we can do is buy your ebook, go to your class, tune into your YouTube channel, then make sure we join your email list so then that we can join another freebie. Like, we need a designated destination. I think that's what's so important, is to have a place where you know that you're sending your audience in every single piece of content that you create, so that they know exactly what they're doing and how they're buying in and what action that they're taking. So that was a long answer to your question, but my short answer is get clear on what that offer is, for sure.
Yeah, it's a great answer. And that brings up, deciding on that free versus what content should be free versus what should be paid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How,
So
mhm.
the free content is usually the what, and the paid content is the how. How did they get there, right? So what? Content strategy, engagement, building a business, like all of that is the what, and how to get there, how to create your content strategy, how to boost your engagement, how to grow your following, how to connect with your audience. That should more so be in your paid program through your methodology, your playbook, your blueprint. All of that should be within in the paid. What you want to do in your free is more so problem awareness and making sure that they know that you're the solution, and what they're going through.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone who's creating this content, but it's really not turning their followers into customers?
It's a long game. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, a lot of times um, we will say that this content thing is not working because we haven't seen the ROI, right? But maybe we've only posted twice or three times, or maybe you've been posting for months, but you might not know that you're one post away from that breakthrough. There's people that will be following you for months, will lurk, never
Mm-hmm.
like, watch your stories. And that one person 6 months later will say, "Hey, I've been watching your page for a while." You'd be like, "What? You've been watching me? And I
Yeah.
want to join your program," right? Also, make sure that, going back to the designated destination, that people know that they can work with you. A lot of times we're giving all this free value, do this, how to mistakes, myths, da da da. And it's like, okay, this is so good, I'm going on to the next page, right? But you haven't done a hard sale, right? You haven't said these are the 3 ways you can work with me. Join my
Mm-hmm.
program now because doors are closing here. Here are the results from working with me. Here's a client success. And so you're not showing your audience that they can buy from you, and they're not buying. So I think also, your followers might not be turning into customers because they don't know you have an offer. They don't know you're selling anything. And if they do, they don't know how to get to it. So again, just being really clear in that designated destination and having that hard sale, no fluff.
Yes. And any advice on how to boost engagement?
How to boost engagement is a good question. Um, I'll give the not so practical answer. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we get so, again, focused on getting the content out there that we're in that post and ghost mode. So we're not spending the time to engage with our current followers or sending a voice note to our brand new followers. Hey, Monique, thanks for joining my page. I'm so excited you're a
Mm-hmm.
part of my community. Again, let me know if there's any content that you'd love for me to create or have any questions about being a doula or whatever the case is, right? So we're
Mm-hmm.
not engaging, we're not spending time engaging in hashtags or just hanging out where our ideal clients are. And so we're in this bubble of, oh, I want them all to come to me. I want them to join my program. I want them to show up. But are you actively engaging? Are you putting polls on your stories and questions on your stories and call to actions that lead your audience to have a conversation with you? So I think engagement can be boosted by you taking action. It's like making the first move and asking the person on a date. It's like, this is a relationship, and if they keep making eyes at you at the bar, you got to go say something to them.
Yes.
People getting ballsy nowadays, girls and
Yes.
boys. So
Yep.
shoot your shot, as the kids say. And you never know what will happen.
Yes. I love that idea of engaging with a voice note. I hadn't thought about that, so I'm going to try that.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just solve someone else's problem with that idea. Like me, I'm thinking about that. And I want to talk about some of the other ways that you're helping solve problems with your business. So
Yeah.
how are you helping entrepreneurs and business owners with their content needs? And just talk about your offerings and your process.
Yeah, sure. So I have a group coaching program called the Courageous Content Academy. It's for female coaches, service providers, consultants, experts who want to really establish themselves on social. They want to grow their audience. They want to close more clients. So they want to turn those followers into paying customers. And so I do that through my framework, the 3 C's: clarity, content, consistency. And in our program, we have pre-recorded curriculum, but I also coach live bi-weekly for my students, in addition to the community I was talking about. The community, I think, is, they be saying I'm the secret sauce, but I really think the community is the secret sauce. The way that they show up for each other, because social can feel so overwhelming, or you could feel so alone. It's so beautiful to me, to see them collaborate and show up and be there for one another. I actually tuned into one of my students' lives this morning, and I was eating my breakfast, and she was just so confident. And these are people that have gone live, maybe haven't gone live. When Joy started, she was not really going live. And watching her this morning, she was just confident. She was collected. And then she was just preaching. And usually I'm in and out of my students' lives just to check in on them. But I literally sat through her live for 30 minutes because it just blessed me. Like, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was just so poised. And I was like, what are you selling? This is so good. But to just see that kind of transformation, it goes beyond business, right? It goes beyond that confidence, that courage. That goes in the boardroom, that goes in your sales calls, that goes to working with your clients, right? So that's one thing that I have. And then I also do business and corporate trainings for social teams and small organizations for their business. So teaching them content and social strategy. So those are the two things that I do, is just help people show up and show out and make money doing it. Because I believe there's enough for all of us.
Certainly. I love that. And you are helping people show up and show out. And you have blessed us today with such an amazing knowledge, all of these things. And I want to ask you, how do you stay organized, and what are some of your favorite tools and resources that have really helped you in this journey?
If you only saw my office, how do I stay organized? So I have a high performance planner. It's on Amazon. You can Google it. It's from Brendan Bouchard. It's called a high performance planner. I write in that every day. I'm a paper planner girl. I also have just started getting the hang of ClickUp. So my team and I keep the organization there as well. How else do I stay organized? I mean, I love a good morning routine. So honestly, it sounds so freaking cliche, but it does make a difference. I don't wake up at 5 a.m. Y'all, I'm not the 5 a.m. club type of girl. Lord, I can't do it. But there's just something about, I can't do it. But there's something about just waking up early and having those moments to yourself and your tea or your coffee, and however you find your quiet time. It really, going to the gym in the morning, it really keeps my head level before it's time to put out fires. Because I feel like entrepreneurship is really this self-evolution journey. You really don't learn as much as you learn about yourself until you become an entrepreneur, for sure.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, ClickUp is amazing. I think that we use it as well, and I'm loving it. You can do so much.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so robust, right?
It is. And you don't need all those, someone else was saying how you can sort of minimize the tools that you use if you have something that encompasses a lot. And it's certainly one of those tools.
I agree 100%.
Yes, we'll be sure to put that in the planner in the show notes so that people can have access to those resources. And Jourdan, I want
Yeah.
to ask, what's the best risk that you've taken?
I mean, always investing in my business. That has I've
Mhm.
whew, and listen, they ain't all good. Like let me just keep it a
Right.
hundred. Like there are
Yes.
times where I've spent money where I'm like, no ma'am, no Pam. Like why did we do this?
Right.
But it was a lesson, right? So maybe it wasn't money, maybe it wasn't I learned something for my business, but I learned a lesson. Maybe I learned how I don't want to run my business or what I want to do differently. But I've spent tens of thousands of dollars investing in myself and in my
Hmm.
business. I think a lot of times when we make big investments into coaching or programs to quantum leap or take our business to the next level, I think that a lot of people get into the mindset of, oh, I'm investing in the coach or I'm investing in their program. And I think it's so important to shift that mindset of you investing in you. And it's like, yeah, I'll spend the 2,500 because I'm worth 2,500 or I'm worth
Right.
10,000 or I'm worth 30,000, right? So that's something that I will never stop doing
Hmm.
because it's really changed the trajectory and it's fast tracked my growth. What I've done is not me. It's not. I mean, definitely is the Lord, but this is
Hmm.
not normal. Like the way that we've grown in 2 years is by investing in myself, and it's a risk, 100%. Spend ain't nobody. I mean, some people do, but ain't nobody got 2,500 or $10,000 just laying around as you're starting a business from scratch, right?
Right.
So it is a risk, especially with all the internet. Everyone is a coach. Everyone does this, and everyone will help you make $1 million in about 2 hours, right? So it is a
Hmm.
risk every single time. But I'll do it over and over and over again.
Yes. Wonderful message. And how do you decide your process of deciding who and where to invest?
Mm, that's a good one. Instagram. No, I'm just kidding. I think I look at them as a human, as a person, and I see one, do I want to work with somebody like that, right?
Hmm.
Who they are, their vision, their goals, their mission, am I aligned with that? In addition to I am a student's results type of person, so I will dive and dig for social proof and I will check the dates, make sure it's not from 1987. Like I do a
Hmm.
nice little deep dive because
Yes.
I want to hear, what your students have or your clients or whomever, what transformations they've experienced. Too many times, like yesterday, I was having a call, or I was in the DMs talking to a potential student, and she was telling me how she has coaching burn because she invested in a program and the woman took all of their money. When she got into the program, there was nothing on the inside of the curriculum. And she never heard from her again. And I was like,
What?
oh my gosh, like
Oh,
my jaw was on the
wow.
floor. And that's not the first time I've heard it. So I think it's so important to do your due diligence. It's important to see what results they've gotten other people. It's not about their follower count. It's great, it's awesome, cool. But like, what is their impact and what work are they doing? Where are those results and those receipts?
Yes. Yes, yes. We would have to find whoever that coach was. Um,
Man,
we don't promote violence on the Black Business Podcast, y'all.
we
But,
don't. We don't, but we will try Jesus. You
yes.
understand? Not me.
Yes, yes, yes. And Jordan, what advice would you give to someone in their first year of business? Like looking back, what advice would you
Oh,
give?
oh my gosh. It's so hard. Um, in your first year, that's really what you have to get through. I mean, I'm going on 2 years, and the first year you're literally just trial and error. Like, will this work? No. Okay, let's try this. Will this
Hmm.
work? Yes. Okay, let's go. It's literally like there's no rule book. And I think probably one of the biggest pieces of advice, especially when it comes to like working with coaches and investing in yourself and joining programs, take what you need and leave what you don't. Just because
Hmm.
A to Z got them there, it doesn't mean A to Z is going to get you there. So figure out what works for you and your business and what you really want. Um, because I see a lot of times that in your first year, you get caught up in someone else's success and you think that's what success feels like for you. And that's what you want. So really get clear on what success will really feel like, what you really truly want. And just know that it's a long game. It's not for the faint of heart. It really isn't.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not. And all of this has been amazing. And my final question is, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Ooh, child. Everything. Is that an answer? Everything?
That is the answer.
Everything. I mean, to be Black in business is an honor. It is legacy. It is privilege, even though it might not feel like that at times. It is a gift. It is foundation. Being Black in business is my birthright. I think that, it's like we're such a small percentage. That's why I say it is a gift. And those of us that really decide to take that leap, we're really standing on the shoulders of our grandmothers, our mothers. My company is named after my grandmother. And I lost my mom last year unexpectedly. And I just know that I'm doing this and building this on what they've already paved for me. So I think being Black in business is just continuing their story. And I'm just so honored to do that and do life this way.
So beautiful, and such a beautiful answer. Yes. You're welcome. And you've poured so much into us. I know someone is listening and they're wondering, how can they find you, connect with you, and support you. So please do share.
Yeah. So Instagram is my playground, faux show. You can find me at Jourdan Guyton, Jourdan, Guyton, Guyton. I love a good DM, so be a slider. I always say slide in the DMs, not the Ayo Mas, all right? Not the Ayo Mas, not those. But if you are an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, and really are wanting to level up your content and show up and show out, or if you have a bigger business, a corporation, company, agency, and you would love for me to come speak, I love it. I love doing workshops. So feel free to connect with me on Instagram. I answer my DMs. Sometimes they be in shambles. It'd be taking me a little bit to get to them, but I do answer them. So yes, definitely meet me there.
Jourdan, this has been amazing. And I really want to thank you for being on the show, taking the time to pour into us and just share with us all the ways to be consistent in content and to be profitable. So thank you for today and just all that you're doing. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Isn't she just amazing? This was such a fun and insightful conversation. I took away so much, like how we basically can't escape social media. It does have an impact on how your business grows. And even if you don't solely focus on social media, it does matter because, like Jourdan said, people do their due diligence online. So now that you have an idea on how to create a game plan, just do it. You can check out the resources mentioned during this episode and learn more about Jourdan by visiting blacktobusiness.com/103. I love you dearly and commend you for showing up for yourself and your business and just learning. Thank you so much, and I will chat with you next week, same time, same place.